You want to improve your recordings to help them stand out amongst the crowd. So I'm going to explain the 3 pillars of recording for you and explain how you can start getting better recordings today. That's all coming up. Hi there guys, it's John Holt here with The Audio Journey, helping make music production accessible to all. And in this video what I'm going to do is explain the 3 main pillars of recording, and they're so often overlooked and not really considered by beginners. Even the experts tend to forget this kind of thing, and I think it's really important to get a grasp of it early on, because it means that you're going to get really good recordings sort of straight out of the blocks, and it's going to really set your music aside from other people that don't consider this as early on as you might. So let's get straight into the content. Tip number 1, I can't emphasize this enough. Focus all of your energy into getting a better performance. Now here's an analogy for you. If I take a selfie on my iPhone in my bedroom and then look on Twitter and I see Bradley Cooper's profile picture and I think, yeah, that's the kind of standard I want to achieve. This is the photo I've got. It's not going to happen. It's definitely quite an extreme analogy, granted, but if you don't have good material there in the first place, you're never going to achieve a professional standard or a standard that you're particularly happy with. Now, if you're recording your own performances, then it means that you need to really focus time on learning your instrument, learning that particular song, and making sure that you can really nail a whole take without having to chop bits up and comp it together. If you're not recording your own stuff, then focus on finding better musicians to record. And even if you have to end up doing work for free or traveling a little bit further, it's going to be so worth it in the long run, because you're going to have a much better portfolio to put out to people. Now I must say this was a really important mindset shift for myself when I was starting out recording, because I was recording myself and I'm not an amazing guitarist at all. And I was recording people that I was friends with but weren't necessarily amazing musicians. When I had this sort of shift and it really clicked that you need to be recording good material in order to make good material, as obvious as that sounds, I really did see an improvement in the stuff that I was putting out. Tip number 2 is capture the performance better. Now there's a few different ways you can do this, and the first one, the most immediate one, is improve the space that you're recording in. And what I mean by that is, if you're recording at home, try and dampen the space as much as possible. And what I mean by that is reduce the reflections that are bouncing around the room. So you can do that by putting a mattress up against the wall, hanging up bed sheets and duvets, something that's going to stop the reflections from bouncing around the wall and being picked up by the mic. It just makes the recording sound echoey and not very professional. Also, you can invest in a better microphone. Now, when I say invest in a better microphone, I don't mean go out and spend £400 or £500 or dollars on a microphone. That's not what I mean at all. If you've got a microphone that only costs you maybe £30 or was handed down and it's not a very good quality, then you need to follow this simple rule. And that rule is, if you're not making money from your music, then it's not worth spending more than £100 to £150 or dollars on a microphone. Now personally, I still use the Rode NT1A, which I'll link up in the description below. It's a fantastic microphone and is widely regarded one of the best for beginners in home recording. And it only cost me, I think, £140, and it absolutely does the job, and it's all you need when you're starting out. And lastly, for tip number 2, is better microphone placement. What I would recommend is, say you're recording a new instrument, or you're recording the same thing but you want to really try and improve your mic placement, watch a 5 or 10 minute YouTube video. It really doesn't take much time, and the difference that you get in recordings with slightly different microphone placements is really quite drastic. You can notice a difference in the recording with as little as sort of 2 to 3 inches difference in where you're putting the microphone, especially if you're recording something like electric guitar and you're putting a microphone in front of an amp. If it's directly in front of the cone, it's going to sound different to if it's 3 inches to the left of the cone. You really are going to notice that difference. So it's something to experiment with, and it really will improve the quality of your recordings, knowing where you should be putting the microphone and then experimenting with it a little bit, as I say. Tip number 3, get a better audio interface. Now, an audio interface is the box just like this one up behind me here. And essentially what it does is it's the middleman between your microphone or your instrument and your computer and your music recording software. And what an interface does is it takes the analog signal and converts it into a digital signal to go into the computer. And different interfaces do that to a different quality standard. The one that you see up behind me here is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which again is really widely regarded as one of the best for beginners in home studios. You're also going to get a better latency performance, which basically means that if you're playing a guitar and you're wearing headphones, you're not going to hear a delay between when you play the guitar and when you hear it in the headphones, which can be really off-putting when recording. So guys, implementing those 3 tips is going to seriously improve the way that you capture audio, whether it's a vocal, acoustic guitar, whatever you're recording. You're really going to see yourself progress a lot quicker by using these tips in every recording that you do. So if you've got a tip that you'd like to share about how to get better audio recordings, then definitely drop it in the comments below. We'd all love to hear them. Now I hope this video has been helpful, and if it has, then please do leave a like. It really does mean a lot to me. As I mentioned at the start of the video, on this channel I make tutorials focused towards beginners, so if that's something that you'd be interested in, then definitely consider subscribing with the button just up here. And also you can check out some of my other content from the channel just up here. Now I've been John Holt with The Audio Journey, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.